All right, welcome back to Finally Seen. And this week we have an amazing guest. Erika is a speaker, consultant, and recovering overachiever. She believes most successful people are getting accomplishment wrong. Erika founded a $1 million virtual training company that serviced some of the top organizations in the world. Her curiosity about stress, motivation, and well being led her to a master's degree in industrial organizational psychology from Harvard University. Erica imagines a world where no one needs to choose between achieving their goals and building a life worth living. I love that, Erica. Thank you so much for coming on, Erika Coleman.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be
Well,
here.
I connected with you initially, and your topic was like, oh yeah, I got to have her on the podcast. This is what I'm hearing from every woman. So let's start by hearing a little bit about your story. What made you want to go get an industrial organizational psychology? I mean, from Harvard, like, okay. Yeah.
It's a mouthful, isn't it? It is such a mouthful. Sometimes I'll just tell people it's business psychology,
Love
psychology
it.
for business. This is a good way to think of it. The getting there, honestly, it was quite the journey. So for me, I've always been a high performer. I love doing things well. Like I genuinely love the thrill that comes when you have done something hard really, really well. And I let that drive me for most of my life. Like I kind of thought life was just a simple math problem. If you do your best, and to me, best meant give everything that you can possibly give and maybe a tiny bit more, find some more energy in your toes, then things work out. They work out. And even if they don't magically work out, at least you left it all out there and you can walk away knowing it wasn't meant to be. That was kind of my philosophy. And it served me well for a really long time. I did very well in school. I did very well in business. I did lots of, even my hobbies, things just seemed to go well. And so I thought, yep, if anyone else is not succeeding, it's just because you're not doing your best. Like
Which
that's
is
what
what
I was
most of
thinking.
us are told,
Not
pretty much.
true. It's not true. It's not true. So in 2022, since my business was virtual training, we did very well during the pandemic. In 2022, the world is opening back up. And I knew that no matter what, business was going to go down because people are going to train in person again. So I did what I always did as overachiever. I was like, okay, this is your opportunity. We're going to pivot. We're going to innovate. We're going to bring in all these best practices. This is our chance to shift and change. And I was excited about what was on the horizon. And then that spring, I got a phone call. Your mom's in the hospital. And I remember being like, what? Well, my mom's the luckiest person I've ever known. She's the person that if she participates in a raffle, she always won the grand prize. Like we had bicycles and TVs, like ridiculously lucky person. So I was like, okay, luck. What's the luck? There is no luck. She has terminal brain cancer. She's got at most 18 months left to live. This is not one that's curable. This is not one that anything, like all the doctors just shut all those doors. And so I kind of went, okay, right. What am I going to do? Okay, I save the company. Goal number one, figure out how to add more in, fix more things, be with my people. I'd hired a lot of friends and family members. So I was like, don't let them down. And then it was also, how do you take care of mom and make sure not a single minute left with her is wasted? So drive to all the different appointments. Don't just give medicine, but try to make the medicine fun. Create big family memories, all these connections. And I got stuck in this paradox of I was so proud of all the things we were doing. And yet I watched my business results and my mom's health just keep declining. And after just 14 months, my mom passed away. She didn't make it the full 18. We buried her the day before Mother's Day. Until that sucks. It really sucks. And 2 months later, my business was closed. And it was in the first time in like my entire life where I had checked off every box. You always make the lists. I'm like, here's the dream list. Here's the reality list. The dream list was completely checked off. And so there was nothing left to do for the first time ever. I sat down and then I couldn't get back up. Like physically, my body wouldn't let me stand again. And I was still doing what every overachiever does. I'm fine. It's fine. It's going to be fine. I'll be fine. I'm going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Oh, wait, 15 minutes. 15 minutes passes. I can't get up. And then just a few minutes after that, my daughter, who was then 5, came into my office holding a picture she had colored. She was so proud of it. And I was too tired to smile. And that's when I finally went,
Yeah.
I'm not okay.
This is
This
not
isn't
okay.
okay. What did I do wrong? Like, that was my other big thing because overachiever, I'm like, if I didn't get the A, you better tell me the feedback on the points that I
Yeah,
missed.
exactly. Because you're like, I want to mitigate the chances of this happening again.
What did I do wrong? I was like, I did everything right. And this is the result. How is that fair? And I luckily had a great therapist who helped me get moving again, but still that overachieving brain was there. And that's why I said, well, can't go backwards. What do you do after you own your own business? You apply to Harvard, obviously.
I love this.
So
This
what should you do
totally
next?
your Legally Blonde moment, though. Well, I could throw
Exactly. Well, like it's hard. Exactly. I was like, I did good in school. I was fine.
awesome.
Yeah. Not how I would recommend recovering from burnout, honestly, especially not jumping in as full steam ahead as I did. Definitely mental health got worse before it got better. But after that first semester, I went, I still don't know what I did wrong. Obviously, I'm well acquainted with stress. I started going gray at 19. Like, stress and I have been good friends, but I didn't understand it. And so I went, if I couldn't figure it out, I'm surrounded by some of the brightest minds. I want them to teach me what I did wrong. How do I figure this out? So for my degree, I took every class I could that helped me understand stress, motivation, high performance, well-being, creativity, all of those things that I knew led to high performance. And yet, what was it that threw me off? Why didn't I? Because one of the hard problems with that level of burnout is that when people check on you, you've got all the right answers. And so they think you're
Mhm.
fine. And I was not fine, but I didn't know how to ask for help because I did everything right. And they're really proud of it. They're like, that was really good for you to do. I'm like, I'm not okay. How do you say that? So it was this helpful chance to say, as I started studying it and literally was given homework about how to think differently, I slowly started to change. And I started to find out, okay, there are other ways to go about achieving the biggest, best dreams that I have. So to do it though in a way that doesn't cost me my health, that doesn't cost me my relationships, doesn't cost me my sanity. And that is a program I have now developed called Even
I
Achieving.
love that. So explain what even achieving is, because I mean, I understand the concept, but I want you to dive deep.
Oh yeah. Let's have some fun with it. So came about one, I was like, well, I don't want to be an underachiever. Because when I was stressed out, most people would tell me some version of, well, you just need to chill out, do
Yeah, you
less, don't do
relax.
all.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Exactly. Go on a
not
vacation. And my vacations are always like, okay, well, how deep can I fill this itinerary? Like, and I'm still not going to go
yeah, telling
and
somebody who's
relax
a high achiever
because
just
to
to reduce the stress in their life, that doesn't work.
cut some things out, I'm like, I have children, can't cut those out. I care about the other things I do, can't cut those. So didn't love that version of it. So I'm always like, don't tell me something that basically I'm going to interpret as make me an underachiever. Not going to happen. It's not something I care about. And yet on the other end of thing is like you learn about well-being and that can be really tempting for an overachiever is, well, then learn how to do all of these other behaviors. But that really is, okay, you're not doing enough. You need to do more. And if I'm already struggling to handle all the stuff on my plate, doing more is only going to add to my stress, even if it's a good
Yeah.
do more, even if it's, I did yoga. That was nice for 45 minutes, but now I'm behind on my emails. Like, how do we balance all of that stuff out? So I was like, okay, underachieving, not going to happen. Overachieving got me into lots of trouble. How do I even achieve? Is there a middle spot that I can find? And so as I was learning about even achieving, I learned at Harvard, probably the most important takeaway I had was that you don't need to give your all in order to give your best.
That's a really important point. And I think that it's actually one I've heard you say before, but yet needed to hear it again specifically today.
Don't worry, recovering overachiever right here too. Don't I have to tell it to myself regularly? Like, is this me just trying to give my all, or is this me genuinely trying to give my
Well, and
best?
I think sometimes we actually let other people put that on us. That some ambiguity on their end or something is causing them to feel like you did something wrong. And so you need to give more.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And that's as we all sit with our own securities about Did I do enough? Did I not do enough? Because there's lots of different reasons that we want to achieve. Even scientifically, they've been able to batch it out and say there's several different reasons. And the main 4 reasons are: 1, you maybe just enjoy the process of achieving and doing things well. Okay, I get that. That speaks to my heart. However, you can also be, some people achieve because they want to be the best. And a lot of times we think that's what an achiever is, but that's actually the smaller proportion of groups of people. The other 2 reasons we might achieve would be, well, I just want to do enough to get by. I don't want to be bad at something. I don't necessarily have to be the best, but I don't want to be bad at it. And then the other one that resonated with me and my friends a whole lot was, I don't want to be a leech.
Mm,
I don't want to be somebody that's not
yeah.
contributing. I just want to be enough that you can see me as valuable, as capable, as competent. And sometimes that insecurity, if somebody else has also got that and they come to you and then you're both like over functioning, trying to help each other. We're just over functioning. We're not necessarily performing our best, but that could be driving why we are trying to overfunction.
Love that. Yeah, that's something I personally have been struggling with, and even trying to figure out, like, why am I stuck in this perfection mode? I know what I'm producing is high quality. It doesn't have to be equal to what God would do. Like, I'm not God. That's not expected of me. So,
For
what's the
sure.
first thing women say to you when they come to you? And well, and I know you work with men, but I'm focusing more on women here. What is it the women specifically say to you a lot when they come?
Usually it's just, I'm carrying so much. It's usually some commentary about the mental load that we all are
Mhm.
carrying, because often we see all the stuff that needs to happen everywhere, at home, at work, everywhere. And we are very good at picturing the consequences of if it doesn't happen.
So
Right? As I said, I have kids, right? I'm like, I can't stop caring for my kids. They will die. Ta-da. I love them. I don't want them to die. Therefore, I overfunction. And it's very easy for all of us to say, there are a lot of reasons that if I don't get done what needs to get done, there are bad, bad consequences that can happen. And we can see those very, very, very well. And a lot of times we'll use that as
Mhm.
motivation to go into overdrive because we care. It
Yeah.
matters to us. It's where meaning and purpose, which is a valuable, wonderful, important thing, can go too far,
Yeah.
which actually tips into some of my favorite science. That was my big aha moment in my stress class, because I spent 13 weeks learning about stress and basically being, okay, this is how I survived 14 months at the level I was going. It's like, cool. So do I get stress? Our last week, we learned about the dark side of coping. And that's when I went, oh, this is what I did wrong. We read a study by Adam Grant and Barry Schwartz, and it's called The Inverted U, to when too much of a good
Mm.
thing happens. And they went and they found the best virtues you can think of, Aristotle's virtues, all these things that we would say, this is objectively a good thing. And they said, what happens when you go too far with that good thing? And they found out every single one of them, at best, if you go too far with it, will give you diminishing returns, meaning the amount of effort you put in will not give you as much back. But a significant amount of them actually start to become harmful to you. And I realized for me, my reason, like my standard for should I do this or not was, is it good? If it's good, I should do it. Turns out that shouldn't be your only standard of measurement for doing
Uh,
something. Because that's what we did with my family. I was like, but this is good, therefore I should do it. And I would overdo it because I thought the more good I do, the more reward we receive for it.
yeah, because
And that wasn't what
you were
happened.
doing
It
like
started to hurt
over the top events and
over
just
the
trying to
top.
make all the memories,
We had
all the things.
every single one. We're like, today, we didn't ever want to say this is the last, this could be the last time. We hated that phrase because then it was felt way too dramatic. But it was still kind of the mindset of, well, this is probably our last Christmas with mom. What do we want it to look like? This is the last opportunity mom might remember us being able to perform for her. So let's everybody get up and do a talent show. Or this is, all of them were little things. This is the chance mom could look back on all of our videos, all of our home videos from growing up, hours and hours of footage. So it was this And she loved every moment of it. So we were getting all of that satisfaction back from her. She kept saying, I've never been happier. And we loved that. But I'm also like, she probably would have also said that if we hadn't done as many things or as far or as high of a level of production. Like I didn't need to rent out the full theater with the tech crew and the costumes.
Yeah.
So it was this, okay, yeah, just because it was good doesn't mean that it was necessarily worth the amount of effort we
I
put in
think
for
that
it.
happens a lot with women. And I can think back of the days when the kids were little. Our kids are adults now, but I remember being on the PTO and, oh gosh, I better make the Pinterest perfect lunch, or I better, and I finally got to the point where I was like, they don't care if their sandwich looks like a lion.
Right. I was like, if it brings me joy, yes, let's make the sandwich look like. If it does not, nope, you get triangles. And I actually just get to the point, I'm like, you got food. Be happy.
I used to at least stick a
I
note
remembered
in
to
their
feed you.
lunch, so I would stick a note until they got older and were school.
Oh, I love that. Exactly. A connection moment. Something, though, that brought you both
Yeah.
joy at its simplest form.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually have a note that one of my daughters left on my desk that was just, I love you. And she said her name. I won't call her out which one it is, but I still keep it on my desk. And she did that years ago.
Of course.
And
Right. And it's a little, no, it's not like the Pinterest perfect with all of the swirls and the glitter. Like it's an actual moment that you're hanging on to. And that's
yeah,
different.
I love that. And I think sometimes moms especially need somebody to go, no, it's okay. You don't have to overachieve here.
No, you don't. We don't.
It's funny too, because my husband he'll say, oh, do you remember us doing this? And I'm like, no, not at all. I don't, because I was too busy holding all the other things. And it's just
Oh
like
my
what you were
gosh,
saying.
yes.
I was always seeing all the 15 things that needed to be done. And, poor men, sometimes they're like, I see one.
It looked great to me. I have way too memories where I forgot to take pictures because I spent the whole time managing the event and then it's over and everything's cleaned up. And I'm like, dang it. I didn't take any pictures of this because it wasn't actually
Yeah.
present. And that's a problem. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. Everybody told me how wonderful it was. It went by really fast for me because I actually don't remember most of it because I wasn't present with it. But the logistics were sure pretty, like it's one of those where I would still justify it. And it gets to you every time because I have, it's if you're a naturally caring person, that's a way you can care for people. And it feels good and it feels nice. But inadvertently, I was also forgetting that I am the vehicle for getting those things done and I need care too.
Yeah. There's no check engine light. Usually it's a ICU light where
Oh, for sure. Right, exactly. I'm no longer functional. Crap, I got to do some things
I
differently.
mean, it was the same thing for me. Whereas I started, I got the allergies and all of a sudden autoimmune issue. And now I have to pay attention to my nervous system so much because it's literally life or death for me. So yeah, I'm hearing
Yeah.
this time and time again.
Don't wait for your body to get your attention. Like, I'm like, listen to it before it has to
Yeah,
yell at
if I
you.
think about it,
Right.
I probably could see signs before of it going, hey, hey.
But I'm fine. It's fine. We're all fine. That's the
Yep,
problem.
yep. And it just wants you to go, okay, I see you. Let's see what do we need to take care of? What, go that oil change or whatever, it's like, and one
Exactly.
thing I like to stress to people is self-care and taking care of yourself isn't like the massage necessarily. It isn't the manicure. I mean, those are great if that's what you like. But like you were saying with the yoga, like maybe it's not that great that day. So that's not self-care.
Exactly. Learning how to listen to your needs it's a whole completely different thing. And too often we treat self-care as like a luxury moment. It's not a luxury moment. It is a how am I going to stack my
Mm,
resources so that my body can do what it needs to do because I want to do all these things. That's how I've shifted my thinking around it instead of it being I've earned this luxury. Instead it's been like for instance studying. Let's say I was studying for my classes pre-Harvard. My study routine was, all right, night before the test. We already know I'm going to stay up late. I've got my Dr. Pepper. I've got my ice cream. I've got my Doritos, and I'm going to hunker down with a big blanket, and I'm going to stay up as late as I need to and caffeinate as much as I need to so that the next morning I can go in and take the test before everything is forgotten. What happens after that? I get sick.
Every
Duh.
time. Yeah.
Like I haven't fueled my body. Harvard, it became more of a, thankfully, thanks to burnout, I knew I wasn't actually capable of that anymore. So it forced my hand. I started saying, okay, instead of waiting till the night before to cram, I started saying, okay, how do I spread this out a little bit better? Because one, sleep and me are no longer negotiable. Like after you hit that level of burnout, if I don't get enough sleep, my vocabulary goes, let alone being able to remember stuff on a test. So then it became, instead of my junk foods, I'm like stocking up on bananas and cucumbers and carrot sticks. And some people are like, are you a health nut? I'm like, no, but I need fuel. I want my brain to get where it needs to go. I make sure I get up and move. I make sure I've slept well. And then I was getting ready for my test much sooner, which meant my score was higher. I wasn't stressed out. Things are better. And then the test comes and I'm like, took my test.
Okay.
I aced that test. That felt good. Now what do I do? I can do anything I want. I don't need to nap. What do I do? That was completely new to me. When I started stacking my resources, thinking of myself as the number one resource, suddenly I'm performing higher than I was before. I don't have the stress moment. And I thought that meant I also wouldn't get, because you get kind of a high, that 11th hour high. It's a pretty addictive high. I thought, I'm going to have to give up the high. Hey, it still comes. Just, but instead of it feeling panicky, it's suddenly like, I got this. It feels so good. And there's actually science behind that as well. We studied this in a performance class. They found out that when you get into this acutely stressed out state, this kind of emergency mode, we all know like our limbic system does stuff. You've got fight, flight, freeze. That happens. They found out your heart does stuff too. It starts pushing out more cardiac output. So it's pumping harder. And they found when they were testing people that some groups of people perform better with that faster heart rate and some people perform worse, both on physical and cognitive tasks. So then what's the difference? What makes the difference? Guess what the difference is? Whether or not you believe if you have enough resources to meet your demands.
Wow, interesting.
So if you want to literally be able to perform your best in the moments that matter the most, you need to do the behaviors that help you believe you have enough resources to meet your demands. That's why if anyone's just like, everyone should do this well-being thing, I'm like, depends. Is that well-being thing going to help you feel like you have resources to meet your demands? Then yeah, do it. If not, don't waste your time on it.
I love that. Wow. Interesting. And
Isn't that
I can
cool?
see I'm thinking about the neuroscience behind it and the quantum science behind it. I'm like, yeah, checks out. Interesting. And I want you to go a little bit more into the stacking aspect of it. Because there might be somebody out there going, okay, what is that? What does that mean?
Like habit
Like,
stacking?
what is stacking your resources? What does that look like?
Oh yeah, stacking your resources. Love that. Okay, yeah. When I say stacking resources, it's basically how many things can you get on your side so you're not fighting against those things while you're also trying to get stuff done.
Oh,
so for
optimizing.
me, the first and foremost thing I had to think of came when I was in a negotiation class. Ironically, we were learning about, you had researchers that said sometimes you get these brilliant negotiators that get in scenarios and they end up spending more money on the deal than it was worth and costing their company all this money. So of course, companies are, why is that happening? What is happening? And they send these researchers out, figure it out. Guess what caught their attention? I love this part. The cows on parade in Chicago in 1999. So this is a bunch of fiberglass cows up for auction. They're artistically decorated. And they were realizing that they were selling for thousands of dollars more than they were appraised for. So these researchers at Harvard Business School were like, what's going on?
I remember
what's
that time.
This? They were like, what's happening? So they started going more studies, case studies, setting up experiments. And they found out if 4 factors are present, then you are almost twice as likely to overbid on the price of an item. And this makes sense for achievers because the first three things are just part of our life. Number one is a spotlight. Somebody's watching you. Okay, I'm accountable to people in my life. Makes sense. Number two, deadlines, time pressure. The closer you get to the deadline, the more likely you are to overextend to reach that deadline. Like eBay, right? It goes up at the last minute. But mine is the test. What's happening the night before? I'm going to lean into that. You've got time investment, which as overachievers, we care about what we do. So built in. 3 of the 4 factors are built into your life. The 4th factor, though, is the one that will tip you over the edge. And that is the presence of a single rival. Now, in negotiation, that makes sense. I'm like, okay, yeah, if you're bidding against 5 other people, it gets too high, then you're like, I'm out. It'll be fine. Let someone else take care of it. If you're bidding against just one other person, then it becomes less about the price of the item and more about, I want to beat that person. I want to win. And when I first heard, I was like, okay, I'm fine. I don't have a nemesis. I'm good. I'm not even that competitive. We'll be fine. And then I realized I can be my own rival. In fact, more often than not, I am. Who am I trying to beat? Me. But the problem is when I treat myself as the enemy and I win, did I win? Can I actually win that way?
Wouldn't it really be a tie?
Is it a tie? Have I lost maybe? Most likely I've overbid on whatever achievement or success I'm going after. And the price I pay is my health and my relationships. And so for me, being able to say, first and foremost, I need to treat myself not as an enemy, but as a friend. And I need to champion my own needs so that I can do the things that I want to get done instead of trying to be like, I just have to beat myself. It's just me. I'll be fine. I just have to get over it.
Get over it. Yeah.
No, I got to support myself through that. How do I support myself to this so that I can attainably, sustainably reach that
How did you
goal?
make that mindset shift?
Sitting with it for a long time was the first one, but realizing, oh my goodness, these are the moments where when I push too hard, I get mad at myself. So if I hear any negative self-talk, I already know right then and there, my ability to perform my best has just gone down because I'm fighting myself. So I've had to, this is where I did start doing yoga because yoga actually made me sit with my body and say, thank you. Or, oh my goodness, this is tight. Why is this tight? But it became a different reason because before yoga to me was, can you reach the pose? No, I'm not flexible. I can't. So why would I do it? I'm not flexible. It was outcome focused versus now being able to say, hey, guess what? This is less about outcomes and more about my process of getting in a good direction. How do I get myself moving with that type of momentum? And so it's been better of me practicing gratitude towards myself, including times I fell short, of me practicing compassion and saying, yeah, I know I wanted that then. I wasn't ready then. And that's okay because I think I'm ready now. And I wouldn't have realized I'm ready now if I hadn't had then first.
Yeah.
So little moments where I'd slow it down enough to sit with who I am and tell myself, thank you. I like you. You're a good person. You're doing great things. You're growing every day. The stuff you didn't love that you did last time, look how much better you're at it now. And being compassionate and kind to me at every season and every stage of my life. Completely different.
I love that. And I'm getting better at doing that myself. I recently read a study that was talking about the importance of your first name. And so whenever I'm saying, you got this, it's not you, I always go, Chrissy, you got this. Or Chrissy, oh my God, you're so smart. And it totally was cheesy feeling until I started realizing, who cares? Nobody else is here.
Well, and our brains remember what we repeat. So do you want your brain to think of yourself as the bad guy or as the good guy in this scenario? It's your life. Let's hope you're the hero. Be the hero. So say it out loud to yourself and say it often.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh.
Tired of overpriced energy drinks full of junk? Same. That's why I use Babella, a self-carbonating hydration packet that gives you clean energy, electrolytes, and vitamins without the crash. Just add water, shake, and sip. It's way more affordable than typical energy drinks and way better for you. Use code ChrissyBernal15 at checkout to get 15% off at drinkbabello.com. Hydration just got an upgrade.
So, in your experience, what's the difference between confidence that's learned and confidence that's embodied?
First and foremost, confidence that we understand will never be enough to just understand. So, one, that's where you start. Like, I understand confidence is important. Ta-da! But you have to always marry it with action. So you start with saying, I am enough here. I am good enough there. Start choosing things that you genuinely are confident about and say it and repeat it and do it. Because then as you become and use those little moments, that's when you start building the bigger momentum. So one of my mentors she's a legend in organizational development. Her name is Meg Wheatley. Very, very lucky to have her as a family friend who was willing to talk to me regularly. And when I was like freaking out because I'm at the height of burnout, I've jumped into Harvard, and the only question they ever had for me was, what are you going to do with this? And I remember being so frustrated because I was so tired. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And now I feel like I'm failing because I don't have the answer. And this is a test and I didn't get it right. And it was spinning into this, who am I and how am I? And she stopped me. She said, don't box yourself into something. Always choose a title or a name that you can grow into. And then instead of saying, here's the outcome that I know that I want, that I've got here, say, what can get me moving in the right direction today? And as I choose direction over destination, that's how she describes that, then I begin building sustainable momentum. And that is when you get confidence, because it's not just, I have proof that I'm confident. You are becoming confident through the practice of it every single day. That way, when someone asks you, are you confident? It's not like, do I have the answer to the test? It's, I am. Because you can think of all of those moments that have happened day after day after day that sit with you. And it's no longer, I have to prove myself. You just know that you are, because you're working towards some bigger goal that can pivot. By the way, that was my favorite part of that goal. She's like, if you pick a title or a goal that doesn't box you in, what's cool about it is when life throws something unexpected at you, which it will do, you can still be making progress towards that goal, even though you're pivoting. And often life will gift you something that you couldn't even imagine. So why box it in? Let's use the box to get me going and then let it open up more to something bigger and broader.
Especially when you're saying, pick a title that doesn't box you in, and just moving for, that next step instead of already searching for that, getting to that last step. And I love a good work back, but sometimes the work backs don't work. And that's one thing I sometimes struggle to get clients to understand. Like, yes, here was the plan, but here are the things that weren't expected that happened. And now we have to peel.
Now we have more context.
Exactly. Like, okay.
There are more variables than we realize.
Yeah, and it's like, that's the way real life is, because we can't always predict, even if we set the stage exactly how we want it, there are external forces, especially other human beings, that you can't control anything. You could tell them, but
no.
I mean, they're going to do it.
Someone who feels controlled will prove to you very quickly that they still have power of choice.
Anyone who's ever had a toddler will know that.
100%. You realize very quickly, I am not the one in control here. I hold no power in this relationship.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't miss those days. I know some women are like, oh my God, I miss the good. No, don't miss the tantrums. No.
I was like, I love that they can communicate with me, and I will stick with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where do you see it that women are actually, they think they're high achieving, they think they're doing all the right things, but actually they're making less impact than they could be. So it's actually defeating the purpose of what they're trying to do.
Oh, love that. I mean, gosh, that was me for a long time at home. I'm not someone who loves being just in the home. That was actually really difficult for me. And part of it was because I couldn't figure out how to batch things together to feel meaningful. And there was a book I read a couple of years ago by Cal Newport called Slow Productivity. And I think his answer for this is probably one of the best because he talks about he says, what are some of the greatest things that hold you back from big achievements? He said, the number one thing is busyness. If I'm too busy, I won't actually be able to go after the things that are worthwhile and matter. And I've seen this in my life so much. I was even like at New Year's kind of doing a reflection thing for myself. I like to close out my year very intentionally. And I was like, what's different about this year than previous years? So previous years, I was reading my other things that I'd said, and it just felt like it was always spinning, just like a spinning top, always moving, always going, because I thought if I stopped, I'd fall over. Yeah, okay, that was busyness all the time. And I felt so productive because busy, getting all these things, checked off all the boxes, done. And yet the most meaningful things happened when I actually slowed down and held still a little bit. And for me, that takes power to actually allow that to happen. Now, if I'm in the trenches with toddlers, I need to admit they are going to be my greatest achievement. Keeping that thing alive for a year is a huge achievement. And that's okay. Because for me, it was like, if I'm not hitting all of these big things, I'm failing. That's not okay because we will have seasons of life. And each season only lasts a certain amount of time. And we have to be intentional about what do I want to feel about this season when it's over? That's a completely different mindset for me because it was always just like, but how do I get to the next step? How do I do the next thing? What's next? What's next? What's next? I didn't ever look back. And now it's become much more of a, how do I want to feel about the season I'm currently in? And I use that to help me pinpoint the busy things on my list versus the actual meaningful things on my list that I want to carry out.
I love that. And, I've recently been able to do a better job of shifting to that mindset where for example, right now we want to move, but everybody's like, well, where? And I'm like, I don't know.
I just know the direction right now. I want to move.
It's like, well, I know how I want to feel in that next house. And I know,
I love that.
It's like, I don't know yet. So we're like really open. And I think my mom's a little freaked out about that because I'm like, I don't know. And normally that's not my answer.
Yeah.
Normally it's here's the plan.
Oh, I love that because you are bringing up this. Sometimes we're afraid of this openness or this slower pace because we're afraid other people are going to think we don't care or that we're being lazy or that we aren't focused. Where in reality, you're probably more focused than you have been in a long time. You're just not rushing.
Yeah,
it.
I mean, we've got stuff packed up already and nice and organized as well.
Mhm.
Like every wiped
nice.
off before it's in there. And, so that way we're doing it.
No
Yeah.
frenzy? A move without frenzy? I don't know if I could picture it. I'm jealous.
No, I mean, mind you, doing the little things to prep the house for, the painting and all those things. Like, okay, so glad that's done. But yeah, it's just been rather freeing to have an overall plan, but it's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All these have to be achieved. We know kind of the end result that we'd like. And I do the same thing. Like even just this morning, I was like, all right, this time next month, how do I want to look back and think February went, and it again goes back to the feeling, because when you align with that feeling, that's what really makes you start embodying that and acting that way.
Exactly. It's you connecting to values. And no matter what season of your life you're in, if you live true to form of your values, it will feel like it was important and it will have mattered to you. And you won't get to the end and be like, what happened? Where am I? That was what? Let me list all the things I did because then I feel okay about it. Instead of just like, it felt this way. I know it was worth it. It was good.
Awesome. I love that. I know you have workshops and things. Tell me a little bit about your work itself.
Yeah, so I do keynotes, workshops, and I only take like 2 coaching clients, high profile coaching clients every quarter, because my goal is again let's take this science backed information for high performers and let's say, how do we actually, one, change our mindset about achieving so that it is more sustainable? How do I embrace, giving my best, but not my all? And then what does that actually look like? So the keynote we go through, let's figure out this mindset shift so that no matter what, when I start to feel myself doing too much, I at least get a little red flag that goes, am I overdoing it? And then the workshops we go into, how do we handle stress when it shows up? How do we build a long-term plan? Because let's be honest, a lot of times we're given the long-term solutions while we're in emergency mode, and they're not going to help you in emergency mode. So first you have to figure out how to get out when stress shows up. How do I handle this moment? And then how do I make it more sustainable? And we work through all of those pieces together to say, okay, how do we make sure that high performance is happening? I want high performance. I just don't want it to come at the cost of everything else.
I love that. I remember too, we were talking once about you have, I think it was filters that you call them, or two, there's two of something. Yes.
My
questions.
questions?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I do have 2 questions that you can try right here, right now to see how you're doing with even achieving, because the hardest part of any form of stress management is figuring out when we've started to tip into overextension instead of waiting till, like we're on the floor and not functional. Like when I'm at that point, I'm like, yeah, I overdid it. I want to be able to catch myself before I get to that point. So if you want to take better care of your individual health, personal, mental, emotional health, you have to learn how to check in on your pace. And if you want to take better care of your social health, so your family, your friends, your coworkers, you have to learn how to check in on your presence. So the first question is for pace, and it fits best in like a time-bound scenario. So like a project, things like that. During a project, pick a date about partway through and ask yourself, if I continue at this pace, when I'm done, will I have enough energy left to celebrate? Couple reasons for that. If you don't have enough energy, then you're going too fast, too hard, period. If you don't want to celebrate, you're misaligned with your values. And if you skip the celebration, you're actually going to hurt your motivation for the next thing that you do. And as overachievers, we stink at celebrating. We're way too often like, I check the box, feel a little bit of relief, run to the next thing. You need to celebrate, because what you repeat to your brain is what it's going to remember. And if that was a task worth doing, you want your brain to catalog that. You want to tell your brain, this was worth it, so that it continues to feed your motivation for the next project like it. So that's how you can help track your pace right then and there, see if it's sustainable. Second thing is for presence. I want you to find one person in your life that you love having in your life right now, and you want to still have in your life a year from now. And ask them, in the last 30 days, have I been present enough for you?
That's powerful.
And wait for their honest answer. You might have to dig. They're like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Really? Was I present enough for you? Because especially as high performers and overachievers, we can get so locked in on whatever we're trying to get done because it's good and valuable and worthy. But our attention can be divided, and we're taking that home in our brains with us. And when you're sitting next to your loved ones, you're not really there. So we have to also check in and say, you are deserving of my time and attention. You are also a very important resource for me to get the things done that I want to get done. And I need to invest in that as well.
And you had a TED Talk recently, and that's kind of one of the things you addressed, I'm sure, in there. And so if it's out by the time we air, we'll put it in the show notes. And
great. And if it's not, it'll be erikastedtalk.com. Erika with a K, erikastedtalk.com. We'll make sure that gets you right over to the YouTube
That's
link.
Awesome. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you're like, I really wanted to make sure I said today?
No, I really love what we covered today. It's felt even more authentic than last time. I love that, Chrissy.
That's good.
Thank
you.
You
know, and some things came up, like as you were talking, there are some things that even came up today that I was like, oh, yeah.
I know. We want to believe just because we understood it the first time that we got it. We're good. No. There's still plenty of times, me as an overachiever who has been studying this and living this and watching the benefits from it, I still mess up sometimes. I mean, Christmas, we were like December 6th, and I literally have a moment where I'm screaming in the freezer that Christmas is canceled because I was so frustrated by everything that was demanding my time and attention, and my kids weren't even happy. And I took a breath and I went, I'm sorry, my family. Apparently, I'm spread too thin. And I don't want that. I have made promises I wouldn't do this. So let's recalibrate. But that was the beauty of it. As in the past, I would have gotten resentful and I've gotten angry and then I would have started shame storming and beating myself up. This time I just went, dang it, recovering overachiever. That was a relapse, but I can get right back on that horse. And so I did the things I need to do. I apologized to my family. I took a step back. We looked at what I had committed to without realizing I'd committed to it, because traditions and Christmas, oh my gosh. And I said, we don't actually need this one anymore. This was great during that time of my life. And our times have changed. So it's okay for me to thank it and let it go. Let's let that one go. Let's take this one and let it go. Maybe this one needs to be adjusted for my kids at this time of life, and this one for me and my husband at this time of life. And it changed the season for us completely. And luckily, Santa did still come. Like, it was those moments where I was like, we needed to recalibrate. And I learned to embrace that as an emotional green flag of, that was another, I wasn't as intentional about asking you about my presence, but my body got my attention for me, and I'm listening this time. I wasn't listening before. I'm listening this time. And I'm going to adjust. I'm going to go with
100%.
it.
The recalibrating and kind of giving yourself grace for having had that experience. I mean, even last night I was telling my husband, I went to an event and some things kept popping in my head and like feeling certain. I was like, I'm going to have to explore that later. I didn't get mad at myself for having that thought that came up. I just went, all right, we're going to explore why that thought came up and really dig into it and let it be seen so that it can go, okay, I did my job.
Exactly. Where you can say, oh, you were signaling to me something important has been flared. Cool. I can put that on the table and address it if I want to.
Exactly. And
instead of being like, why did I think that? What's going on? What's wrong with me?
Yeah, which is what we all, oh my God, why am I thinking this?
Exactly. I must have failed somewhere.
It felt really nice to just be able to go, I didn't do a bad thing. And, not that the thought was a bad thing, but I'm saying like, I didn't shame myself. I just went, I'm going to have to explore that. And it was so nice.
Right? It's like, that's us being friends to ourselves, by the way. Instead of me being an enemy of, how could you bring that to me? Like, think of if that was your boss and you're a manager and you brought something to your boss and they're like, how could you bring that to me? And you're like, I thought it was important. I start thinking of that within my own brain too. I'll be like, oh, you brought that to me. You thought it was important. It actually isn't going to be important for this scenario. Or, hey, thank you for bringing that up. I will continue to address that. Apparently, that's affecting me as an organism.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to our ego, as you know, just trying to keep us safe. And I've, with one of my coaches, we've done the Gestalt method, where we talk to my saboteur and name her. And so she literally has a name. I know where she sits in the office. And, thankfully I don't work in a place where there are 100 people around me and I can turn around and tell her, okay, I hear you. That's good. We're safe. We can move forward.
Exactly. Yep. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. We're all good. I'm moving on.
Oh my gosh. Well, Erika, I know you said your TEDtalk.com, but where else can people connect with you?
Yeah. So I write weekly. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I post every Wednesday about my writings. It's also on my website. But if you have a team that you're on that's high performing, or you lead a high performing team, I have an extra resource for you. You can go to balanceyourteam.com. And I have a self-assessment. It's free that you can take to see, okay, is my team actually sustainably high performing? Or are we all just kind of quietly eking our way towards burnout and not realizing it? So that one you can also go to as well.
Wait, what? Oh, I don't even need to take that. I could tell you.
It'll pinpoint places where you can be like, okay, I can see where maybe perhaps that could be a problem, and you could address it. And then also, if you ever needed to work with me, I'm always happy to help with those things.
And watching your TED Talk, I can't wait to watch that as well. So, well, thank you so much for being my guest today and bringing such useful wisdom that I know we as women need to hear specifically, because it's like we keep telling ourselves, no, that's not okay. And it is okay.
It is. It is. If we really want to reach for our dreams, which are valuable and important dreams, we can't be constantly drowning. So we've got to make sure that we're doing it sustainably because we're worth it. And our kids are worth it. And our families are worth it. And our jobs are worth it. Like, we are very wonderfully competent, capable people with unique perspectives that the world needs. And so we deserve to also treat ourselves in such a way that we can bring those to others and continue to share it.
100%. Well, thank you again so much. I enjoyed this, Erika.